Hello, Hujambo, Bwakeye, Abshedi. I'm Tembekile Mkhototo. Welcome to a special Africa Day edition. This is Unwrap Africa, Siyaqhaqha. Well, as we've gathered today, we're celebrating Africa Day here on the program, a historic day first marked in 1963 when African nations came together with the Organization of African Unity, now known as the African Union. Shortly, we'll be live in Dar es Salaam with our International Editor Sophie Mokoena. But before we get there, though, let's have a look at a wrap of the biggest stories from the continent. US President Donald Trump has confronted South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa this week with unsubstantiated claims of a white genocide and land seizures during that tense White House meeting. Also tonight, former Congolese Prime Minister Matata Ponyo Mapong has been sentenced to 10 years of hard labor after embezzling $245 million. That's from a failed agricultural venture. And then, Uganda's parliament has passed an amended law that permits military tribunals to try civilians, leading to criticism from opposition politicians as well as rights campaigners. In Kenya, the country has launched a rhinoceros ear notching and transmitter fitting exercise. It's a permanent method of identification that helps to monitor the health and behavior of the animals. And from South Africa in the south to Cairo in the north, Africa Day is being celebrated with festivities in cities and towns across the continent. We will continue our celebrations with the Marimba band that played us in tonight later in the program. What we want to know from you, by the way, as we mark Africa Day is this. Tell us what makes your culture and your country unique in a continent of dozens of nations. You can do that by sending us your comments on WhatsApp. The number is 078-459-1897. We're also on Facebook at SABC Unwrap Africa. On X, the handle is at SABC News_TV. As I was saying, SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena is in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania tonight, where she's been attending the annual Thabo Mbeki Africa Day lecture. She's live for us. Let's speak to her. Sophie, good to see you again. Speak to us about what the former president has been saying.
Jumbo Africa, yes indeed, I'm in Dar es Salaam where yesterday both the Thabo Mbeki Foundation and the Julius Nyerere hosted the Thabo Mbeki Africa Day annual lecture where the focus was on the development of the continent. And we know that this country is quite important in terms of the history between South Africa and Tanzania on issues that are related to the freedom that we enjoy today. Many freedom fighters came to Tanzania for military training. Some of them, their remains are still here in Tanzania in a region called Morogoro. And therefore, the bond between the two countries is quite strong. Yes, we were able to speak to the former South African president earlier today. And in this clip, the focus is the trip he took from Dar es Salaam to Morogoro. Where he was in one of the current trains that are transporting people between the city and also to other areas of the country. I also asked him about how he felt when he was in that garden of remembrance, because he was quite emotional. Let's take a listen at what the former South African president said about his trip to Morogoro and also the Garden of Remembrance.
Yes, you know, of course, what struck me was how green the country is, all the way between Dar es Salaam and Morogoro. It's very green, and I was thinking about the huge agricultural potential there is when just looking at the land, unoccupied, seemingly unoccupied, seemingly unused. I think it's whatever the Tanzania is doing currently in terms of its agriculture, I think its possibility to do a lot more is that region. That distance tells me that it was reinforced by what the regional commissioner for Morogoro region said. That in fact the Morogoro region is the agricultural capital of Tanzania. That's where they grow anything and everything. It's a major center for agricultural produce. But anyway, that's a sense that we could see that, all of these discussions about food security and all of that, that this country can play a major role in terms of meeting that kind of demand on the continent.
When you arrive at the Garden of Remembrance, you walk around, you tell us stories, quite stories that we didn't know. Some of us who have never been to exile, and particularly young journalists were there. And then you arrive at an end towards wrapping up your visit to the graves after planting a tree and then laying a wreath. You got quite emotional. What was happening?
Well, I don't know if I did. But it's very moving to be at that cemetery. It really is. Because you've got all our people lying there, the children, and you saw those small graves. Fortunately, we had them explaining that in the end, our people there decided not to do that, to bury the children in small graves, because you draw attention to the fact that children are dying, so you must make the graves big enough so that nobody can tell that there's a child lying there. But it's really moving, and particularly what hurt me was the story they told that in 2004, 2 of the graves were exhumed. And you saw what they did. The graves are exhumed. So the graves are the normal graves, the grave with a mound, cemented and all that. But those ones flat, they flattened them out, showing that there's nobody there. And that hurt. Because the idea of exhuming our people from these countries that are our comrades, the countries that lost people in support of our struggle, who received us as their comrades. As the commissioner of Morogoro region was saying, when you people came to Tanzania's ANC, it never occurred to us that you are in transit. You were at home here, because it's a common struggle, and now people pass away, and you take them back to South Africa. Why do you think that these bodies that lie here are in transit? They're not in transit. They're at home in a place committed to struggle. So when you saw those 2 flat graves, it makes it's a terrible statement.
No, thank you so much for your time, Mr. President. As you had the former South African president in Dar es Salaam, home away from home.
SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam. By the way, when we come back, you may have noticed I'm wearing a special Africa Day golfer tonight. It's got the flags of all the African states. Well, when we return, we'll speak to Junior, the man who put it all together, and hear more about his work in the fashion industry. This is Unwrap Africa. Edition of Unwrap Africa. Africa, celebrating the beauty of the African continent through the sounds of the youth, right? The future of Africa. And we're going to continue with that theme. In fact, now we're going to talk to Junior Adusei, who's an entrepreneur and fashion visionary, best known for founding Unwrap Africa. This happened back in 2016. It's a brand that he says is dedicated to turning African cultural heritage patterns into contemporary fashion products, creating, with a passion, in fact, for creating unique African-inspired designs as well as products. Junior successfully, he says, positioned Unwrap Africa as a top fashion brand that's reached customers on the continent and globally. By the way, this golfer that I'm wearing is one of his designs, and it bears the flags of all 54 African states. Let's speak more to Junior then, the founder of Unwrap Africa. Junior, good to have you on Unwrap Africa. Happy Africa Day.
Happy Africa Day, Temikile. Thank you for having me here today. And you look amazing.
I was going to ask, am I wearing your work well?
Maybe you should look into modeling as well. You know?
You can stay. Let's go back to 2016,
Yes.
when this vision came to life.
Yes.
When did you first have the idea that this was what you wanted to do?
So in 2016, generally, I love colors. You know, I'm a vibrant color guy. So everywhere that I go, I love to see colors, you know. And I was struggling to find things that appeased me, you know, in shops, because either they were too dull or they weren't African enough for me. So I saw that, okay, cool, then that means there's a vacuum in the system, so maybe I can tap into that and then create things that people like me would love to wear and would love to see on other people as well. So I just went to the drawing board and came up with the name Unwrap Africa. Yeah.
And was it an easy thing to do? I mean, designers are a dime a dozen, right? Especially on the African continent, where so many of us are creative. How then did you find your niche and make sure that it was a successful business?
It's never easy, you know, and being an African, you know, my grandma always used to say something that if you're an African, you can't go to hell because you go through so much, you know, you must persevere. So that's always been at the back of my mind. So it was through perseverance, you know. I did my research, I made mistakes here and there, I learned from it, went back to the drawing board, and then we are here today, you know, thanks to God.
And it's quite contemporary. When we think of African fashion, we think of traditional designs, but yours are not quite that. I mean, look at what I'm wearing. It's a golfer. You're wearing one of your designs as well. How did you do that adaptation? Because I've seen you infuse Ndebele, Basotho elements as well into what you do, but in a very contemporary way.
So it's very, very difficult to find African cultural patterns in a lot of products, like your sling bags, your backpacks, your bucket hats. So what we went to do is we went to the drawing board and we drew all these cultural patterns ourselves. So most of them, we drew them ourselves, and then we printed them, then we went into production, and everything is done locally. So once we were able to do that, we had the digital form of all the designs. Then we could make a gym wear from African pattern, a bucket hat from an Ndebele pattern, a backpack from a Soto pattern, you know. So once we were able to do that, it opened the floodgates for us to be able to develop a lot of products.
And you brought a model along for us.
Yes.
We want to show her. You saw me, I'm the other model, but there's the real model over there in one of Junior's designs. And again, sticking with the contemporary theme, I think while we look at this outfit, perhaps tell us more about the inspiration behind this look. So
what she's wearing is called a basket kimono. Okay, and it's made up of 172 strings of African print. So they are all handmade and then joined together. And it's symbolic because for me, I believe that as Africans, our stories join one way or the other. We are all connected one way or the other. You find Ndebele in Zimbabwe, you find Ndebele in South Africa. So we are the same people. So that's the idea behind the basket kimono. No matter where you are from, somehow we are all joined together.
And I mean, we've got the Marimba Jam guys as co-models this evening. How, in terms of turnaround, because when we got in touch with you, you were able to put something together very quickly. What allows you to be able to do that and be able to give clients what they want as quick as possible?
I think it's not even up to me, it's my staff. I've got an amazing team behind me. And they see the vision, they understand the vision, and they want to actualize the vision. So it makes it easy for me to also bring out my ideas. So once we have an idea, we just go to the drawing board, and now we have the machines to print, to design, you know, and make all our products. So once we do that, it's easy for us to go into production.
And what about cultural sensitivities? Because whether you're South African, whether you're Ghanaian, whether you're Congolese, there are certain fabrics that mean certain things to people. Do you pay a lot of attention to like those sort of sensitivities?
Yes, we
and
do.
How you use the fabric?
Yes, we do. So I'm a global citizen. I've got friends from Lesotho, I've got friends from Zimbabwe, I've got friends from Kenya. So if I have an idea, I normally consult my friends. and tell them, okay, this is my idea, but I need you to guide me on how to use this, because I may not know even better than people that are from the country or from that culture. So I always have to do a consultation. And after the consultation, I show them what we came up with. If there's any adjustments, then we also go back to the drawing board. So our product development phase takes about 4 different types of products for us to actually launch a product, you know, going back and forth through consultations and understanding what each pattern means.
And where, outside of South Africa, where's your biggest market?
Currently, we are in 12 European countries. On Amazon, yeah, we are in 12 European countries.
Right.
Australia, funny enough, is our second biggest market.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Are these Africans or just ordinary people as well?
Generally, like I think both. Both, yes, because we are currently the only South African fashion brand on Amazon in Australia. So we cater for the South Africans in Australia, and then yeah. So
we want to show one of your other looks. While Junior and I are speaking, let's cut straight to her. We'll show you another. There it is, a stunning print. Oh, okay. Now this is for going out, darling. Tell us about this look.
So this is what we call the boo-boo dress. Boo-boo or boo-boo, depending on how you want to call it, yeah. Or boo, you know, boo dress. So it's an African kaftan, okay? And it's self-adjustable. So no matter your size, you can adjust it to fit you, you know.
And that's what your model is doing now?
That's what she's doing right now.
Oh, wow. Don't worry, she's not disrobing on camera. Everyone is very nervous. No, she's not undressing. There we go. She's just adjusting. Oh, and there you go. You can make it as form-fitting as you basically want it to be.
Yes.
But how much do these retail for? Because textile is not a cheap business.
Yes. So what we do is that we don't believe in our products being on shelves and not moving. So we try to make them as affordable as possible. You'll be surprised to get this at around 850 bucks. For a kaftan, and that's probably one of the cheapest on the market, because we find creative ways to make sure that our products are affordable to the people. We want to see people wear our products, so we make sure that we try to find make them more affordable for them to be able to purchase it. Yeah.
Junior, really good to talk to you. Junior, what makes you African?
What makes me African? Wow, that's a deep question.
You said you're a global citizen.
I'm a global citizen, but it's the blood that runs through me, the perseverance. You can't break an African. No matter what you do, you can't break an African, and that's what I'm proud of as an African.
Junior Adusei, good to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Africa Day edition of Unwrap Africa. We'll talk more about Africa's heritage, this time through music, when we continue. Don't go away. We've been asking you tonight, what makes your culture and your country unique on Africa Day? Let's have a look at some of the comments that have come in so far. Mteza says, I'm an African planted in the center of Xhosa land with a culture of lovely Ubuntu, humility, and naturally bold leadership. Says Xhosa people are not loud, but assertive and caring. I can attest, Ubuntu is always at the center of our relationships. Therefore, I dare say, South Africa, we need to talk. Thank you, Mteza. Albie Joseph says, when you go to Europe, you need to prove you can speak their language or go to training. But when Europeans come here, they speak their language and we issue a visa without a question. Larasa says, Loshan Batbeketu can't celebrate Africa Day without land. And then Mahauta also saying, Tobela Batubarashu, Africa celebration without land is nothing. So as we mark Africa Day, then some of the contemporary, well, age-old needs of the people still prevalent. And one here from Off the Grid Forever says, AU, the African Union needs to be disbanded ASAP. It exists to sustain the twisted relationship between Africa and its former colonizers in the name of maintaining peace. Worse, it's mostly funded by the same. Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger are not part of the mess and are already making progress. And a reminder, by the way, the views expressed are not those of SABC News or the team here at Unwrap Africa. What does Africa Day mean then for other people in various parts of the continent? Let's have a listen.
I want to see an Africa where we tap into our youth. That is, I mean, the largest growing population in the world, and it's a large population.
Whether the outside world wants to admit it or not, the outside world is looking to Africa. They are. And I think if we really come together and we channel what is already in us, we don't need to get it from anywhere else. The world will come here to be inspired.
Africa is not an event, so we should not be having a month dedicated to Africa. We should have a heart and a focus every day dedicated to Africa. I don't think we're doing as much as we can, because since 1963 we have not advanced the agenda which Kwame Nkrumah and the 32 presidents got together to put forward.
Well, you've been hearing from them all evening, and now it's time to speak to them. We've heard their music. Marimba Jam with us now. Finding harmony in community is what's written on one of their shirts here. Spusi's all right? Sandile.
Yes.
The excitement of Africa Day.
Okay.
Sandile, tell us more about Marimba Jam and how you guys came together.
All right, so Marimba Jam started back in 2011 by our founder, Kiara Ramklas, and it was based on providing music to underprivileged schools that require that. So we believe in the fact that music can bring people together, and it can bring the potential of kids straight to the top.
And are you the kids?
Yeah, we were.
How old were you guys when you started?
Well, we started, so we're the Johannesburg branch, so we started in 2023. So it's originally from Cape Town.
Oh, and then how did that work then, the transition from Cape Town to Johannesburg?
So it was, business expanding. So it was a thing, we saw the market this side, we were like, you know what, let's go, let's try it out. And that's how it was born.
And you get a lot of work?
Yeah. From time to time, especially it's a different market as well. So it's quite different, especially because Cape Town will have more of the weddings. This side will have more of the corporate gigs.
And why marimba? I mean, in the world of piano, rap, and everything else, why marimba and the link then to Africa Day? Because you've been able to curate just today a very special selection of music that's in line with the theme.
Exactly that. The marimba, it's a team effort, so you can't have one marimba performing a whole song. So therefore you'll have your bass right here, you'll have your melody, either an alto soprano, and you'll have your tenor, and together that brings the harmony in community, you see.
And how do we find you? A man who's true to the brand.
Exactly that. Social media, Instagram, TikTok, we've got a big TikTok channel as well. Website as well, we've got that as well.
Thank you very much for coming in, guys. You guys have been fantastic. I think you've definitely lifted our spirits and got us all celebrating Africa Day. And as we wrap up this edition of Unwrap Africa, we leave you with Marimba Jam. See you next week. Bye-bye.